Stages. The foundation of not just video games, but games as a whole. Some of the oldest games like chess require a board, hence the reason why that genre is referred to as board games. Monopoly, Scrabble, and Connect 4 all require some sort of board, whether it's horizontal or vertical. But we can substitute the word board for stage because the board acts like a stage for the pieces. In sports, the playing field can also be considered a stage, so much so that it even has a section for the audience. But in the digital world of video games, stages can be much more than just a surface. It can be the beautiful Swiss Alps, or an abandoned city torn by disease, or maybe even a laboratory controlled by an evil robot. Stages help immerse the player into the game. It's the glue that ties it all together. The reason why you can go for hours and hours playing one, only to realize your essay was due at 12 AM. Now, as much as stages are appreciated in most games, it doesn't feel the same way in fighting games. It feels like they're overshadowed, well, quite literally, by the characters on screen. And it makes sense because fighting games are competitive, so of course you're going to focus on the characters the most. But stages can be deceivingly more vital than it may seem. You see, when making a good stage, the devs have to think of a way to balance two main aspects that can impact a player: visual and competitive advantages or disadvantages. Focus on visuals too much and you have a beautiful stage, but it gets banned in tournaments because of how unplayable it is competitively. Focus on the competitive side too much, and you end up with a boring stage that makes players question why it's even in the game. First, let's talk about the importance of stage visuals in fighting games. While they can't physically do any damage, they can obscure vision and distract players. For example, in Street Fighter V, Kanzuki Beach is prohibited from competitive play because the water can hide ground projectiles, such as Birdie's banana peels and pop cans, and also some of Juri's projectiles too. Field of Fate also has this problem as well, but it also has another major problem. It is very hard to tell when you're in the corner on the right side of the screen. On the left, you at least have the mountain in the back, but on the right, it all looks the same. This is really important because knowing how far you are from the corner determines what combos you or your opponent can do. Certain combos can either work or drop depending on where you are on the stage. Now, in terms of stages that are banned for being outright distracting, again for Street Fighter V you have Skies of Honor because it can cause motion sickness. I mean, they are on top of a plane. You also have Umbra Clock Tower and Smash, and mostly for the same reasons, with the moving background and all. Although this stage is arguably more distracting because of how much the background moves and all the entities flying in the back. And this happens periodically. Now, in terms of stages that physically affect players, this is where things can get really interesting. For this, I'll have to make a distinction between traditional and platform fighters, because stages can influence platform fighters way more than traditional ones, and I'll explain why later. Tekken 7 has unique stage interactions that are called wall and floor breaks. In order to get a wall break, you have to go to the edge of either side of the stage. Now obviously there's some sort of wall there, and you perform a certain move. Which moves affects wall breaks depends on what map you're on. Floor breaks also work the same way. As the name suggests, you break the floor beneath you. These stage interactions make the world feel more immersive. It feels like you're actually fighting in a real place, since the objects around you react to your attacks. And the stage isn't stagnant. But not only do they create exciting gameplay, they can also grant you combo extensions, allowing for extra damage to be dealt. On the other side of the spectrum, Tekken also has infinite stages, which means there are no walls, so no wall breaks can be performed. And the floor cannot be broken through either. So as you can see, map knowledge is important for Tekken, since there can be opportunities to capitalize on extra damage. Injustice 2 also has similar stage transitions in terms of wall breaks. But one main difference is that the extra damage actually comes from the stage itself, whether it's from hazards or other characters. The game also features throwable items, so if you're getting back down in a corner, you can use a stage prop to help you out. For platform fighters, stage selection is very important, as certain stages can determine how good or bad some matchups are. It's the reason why 90% of stages are banned in Smash Ultimate. That's where counter-picking comes into play. Now, I'm not sure how the specifics work because it slightly varies for every game and possibly the tournament you attend also. In Tekken esports, There are generally no stage bans because every pick is random unless both opponents agree to a specific stage. But in platform games like Brawlhalla, for example, the higher seed player strikes all but 3 stages, leaving the lower seed player to choose from them. After that, the loser of each game strikes until the set is complete. So if you were in a position to strike first, and let's say you were a Rayman main, you would generally want to pick gimp heavy maps like Demon Island or Crystal Temple, because gauntlets have great gimping potential, and his downsig on both weapons can cover the ledge pretty well. But at the end of the day, if you don't see much advantage in any of the stages you pick, then go with the stage you're most comfortable with, or one that's the most neutral. Usually picks like Small Brawlhaven are popular because there are no platforms and the ledges are a reasonable size. All walk-off stages are banned by default because they completely negate the edge guard game, so that means no offstage gimps and also no recoveries since there's no way to fall off the map. The main issue though is that they promote camping, since throws can kill at 0%. All you have to do is just camp on either side of the edges and wait for your opponent to walk near you, then throw them into the blast zone. Other stages also create what some call a cave of life, where the walls reduce knockback to allow a player's stock to last ridiculously long. This can make sets draining, especially in a big tournament. But the biggest reason why certain stages are banned is because they can cause infinite combos. So again, the gameplay just becomes you trying to bait your opponent into that certain spot to 0 to death them. Something I like that Brawlhalla does with its maps is that they clearly categorize and label them. You know which maps are designed for what, whether it's free-for-all, 1v1, or 2v2. And if you select either the 1s or 2s game mode, there's a distinction between casual and tournament maps. So there's no confusion on what stages are tournament legal, and everyone uses the same rule set no matter what tournament you go to. It will always be the same. But even with tournament legal stages, there are some odd interactions that happen with the edges and corners of the stage. For example, certain sigs or moves can drop, like Azoth's axe down sig, or this clip that my friend sent me where his scythe recovery dropped because his opponent hit the bottom of the stage. Some maps also have slanted walls that cause early KOs because of the angles that they can send you, and it allows for stuff like this. Overall, there are some changes that I think fighting games could make to lessen the issues with stage banning, at least on the visual side. One thing you can do is allow client-side map backgrounds. Now I know you can already change the stages and backgrounds in Brawlhalla by going into the game files, but they could easily make this a setting in-game where you can upload images. Now as for other traditional fighters, since the stage doesn't interact with the players, well except for Injustice and Tekken, you can make it so the players can pick which stages they want to see on their side. For example, if you hate Kanzuki Beach, on your side you'll see whatever stage you picked, but on your opponent's side, they'll still see Kanzuki Beach. So that's how stages can affect players and potentially decide the match before it even starts. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think, and I also want to know what your favorite all-time fighting game stage is. It could be from any fighting game. As always, make sure to join the Discord to stay up to date on when new videos come out. Also make sure to follow my Twitch and Twitter as well, and I hope you guys have a good day. Peace.